Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From Sad Pygmy Girl to Alchemist. Here we talk about all things self-love, spirituality, and really finding your way home back to yourself. And I am super excited today because I posted a request on Threads to connect with people who were open to sharing their path towards helping others open their psychic abilities, because I think that that's something that's very important as you develop your relationship with yourself, to really be able to understand yourself and to understand our purpose here on earth. And so I was overwhelmed by the responses. I was expecting to receive maybe just a handful of people who would be willing. And I Again, I had not experienced that level of response, and it was overwhelming, but in the best way possible. And I set the intention that I would connect with the person that was most aligned, because of course, all those people have something to offer. But to me, it really was about finding that person that was the right fit, who I felt would best serve not just myself and what I was trying to experience, but everyone who was listening as well. So with that, I connected with Melissa Armstrong here. She is going to introduce a little bit more about what she does, but she is a healer. I'm so grateful to have connected with her. And I actually experienced a healing session myself, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And so I'm just super excited. Melissa, if you want to talk a little bit about what you do, that would be amazing.
Hi, I am approaching my 20th year of being an intuitive organic skincare specialist, which I translate into mind, body, spirit, skin healing. So, with that said, I'm pretty sure I was born as a healer. I just didn't, you know it, but you don't know it. So it's really my life. It's not just 20 years. It is my entire life's calling to aid in others' transformations. And I have developed, I don't know if I can say gifts. If I say developed, I would say I've uncovered my gifts through this
Hmm.
work. I've uncovered my gifts through the work that I do, where I have a calling to work with people just to get to the root of whatever they're trapped in. And for everyone, that's different. But as you experienced in one session, I have my intentional ways where I want to take somebody all the way to the bottom where you don't think there's any help or hope. And then I want to just floor it as quickly as possible to the other side. And that's what my methods do, I think. We can say that. But in a nutshell, just intuitive organic healing with an immediacy of a transformation. That's what I intend for everybody I work with.
Okay. And when you say immediacy of a transformation, do you mean just feeling the difference right away? Or what is it exactly? Can you elaborate on that?
If you can also elaborate after me about how your session went when all of a sudden you knew, I call it, I'm on the other side. Like I was heavy, I felt dark, I felt isolated, I felt alone. And then the next thing you know, it's like, I call it waving a magic wand, and then poof, you're on the other side. So the immediacy and transformation is the opposite for me, where I was in counseling as young as 8 years old,
Mhm,
diagnosed with ADHD, severe
mhm.
depression, lots of other things. And I got older, still in quote conventional therapy. And the therapy that I had to go into, we know this could go very low and very dark very quickly with what I'm about to say, but going through domestic violence and sexual assault, sexual abuse counseling, when I felt like I was becoming healed, the counselors kept wanting to bring me back to the scene of my trauma. So I knew
Yeah.
eventually, if I keep going back there and what we think about expands, I'm not going to be able to fully heal. And I realized that their intention for me was not for me to be free of it, but to keep me going back. So the
Right.
immediacy of transformation for me and what I guide through is, we do have to go back, but we have to go back with your highest intention attached. And
Y
then you get to see it through a new perspective. And then you realize, I don't have to keep this from the original perspective anymore.
Right, and we spoke about that. I think there are certain steps, of course, to healing, and that's not to say counseling and therapy is completely ineffective, but as I mentioned to you, I had spoke about everything that I'd gone through, even the more recent things, and I had already processed and I understood the role that it played and the things that I was required to learn. Of course, that's because I've done some of the work and I understand life purpose and I understand that we all have lessons that we need to learn, right? But it was
Mhm.
letting go of the pain that that had caused and it was trapped in my body. And that was what was blocking me from moving forward. And you understood that already in our first session. So when you say immediacy, yes, it was that because I didn't need to mentally process anymore, right? It was letting go of all those feelings that I had already experienced before, and what you did allowed me to do that. And even in just what has it been, a day?
Yeah.
I I feel so much better, and I'm able to talk about it. Even I was speaking to my friend last night, and I was like, it's almost like I was hanging on to the sadness because I thought that if I hung on to it a little longer, that it would mean something, that it still meant that it meant something, and it means something regardless. Letting go of the sadness doesn't mean that the role that these people played in my life is insignificant anymore, but to me, that's how I felt. It was almost like I needed to feel that in order to prove to myself that it meant something. Does that
That
make sense at all?
that's incredible, and that takes me back to the first time we chatted, right? It's only been, like, less than a week
I
of our, like,
know.
relationship, which is really funny. So it's like, "Oh, the first time," and then the session, and then here. Um, as empaths, I think deep down, we believe, like, in our psyches that, one, if I let go of this person's energy or, their yeah, I'm gonna call it energy. If I let go of this person's energy, then I'm abandoning them. Because I
Mhm.
think deep down that, as I call it, the earth angel complex, some of us are just so deep feelers. We know we have the capacity to hold, even if we bring ourselves to a breaking point, we'll keep holding people. Like we'll keep holding them because we're hoping and praying. If I keep holding them, maybe they will see the light, maybe they will change, maybe they will shift.
Yeah.
One. The other one is if we're not abandoning them, I think it also brings us to a disempowerment because we lose ourselves when we're holding other people's pain. So it's kind of,
Mhm.
there's the two sides of it where, okay, I feel like I'm abandoning them energetically, spiritually, if I do release this. But then also, if I do release that, then what does that mean? Which will take us back to the question, now what?
Yeah.
Which I believe is where you are at.
Exactly,
You're at
and
the now what?
yeah, and it's also interesting because I think I mean, I was told that I had trapped a lot of it in my body, but I didn't know how to release it, so that's where I think people like you are so instrumental in helping people because there comes a point where, yes, we understand especially now, right, with a lot of the awareness that's out there about how our childhood can affect our relationship patterns in adulthood and the people that we attract, but sometimes it's not a matter of understanding anymore, it's a matter of what do we do next? Like you're saying now. Okay,
Yeah.
and how do we transform that so that we can live a fulfilling life and start to choose relationships that are not even choose, attract relationships that are better for us and be able to strengthen our discernment so that we know when it's time to set a boundary and when someone's not going to honor that, then we walk away.
Right.
So I think
Right.
that's where the work that you comes in is so important. And I want to ask when people do find you and seek your services, where are they typically deep in the spiritual journey? Are they what does it look like? Because for me, of course, I would consider myself somewhere in the middle, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just curious, has anybody come and not had any awareness and they're like, "Hey, I just need something."
Completely.
Yeah.
And then there's one I can think of, and this is kind of just like a joke where I was feeling the vibes and I was feeling her healing. So we met for the first time. I gave her a session. She was a referral from another client who'd experienced her transformation. And so I just went like all out woo woo. I'm just doing my thing. I'm guiding. I'm feeling her energy. She doesn't say one word for the whole time, like 75 minutes or so, okay? And then so I finally had to ask like, how are you? Because I either pissed you off, like I either stirred up stuff, felt that you cleared it, but you didn't, or you actually experienced what I felt you were experiencing.
Yeah.
And so after like what felt like an hour pause, which was only like 30 seconds, okay, so I'm like holding my breath, waiting to find out like what happened. Am I going to see this woman again? Did I freak her out? And then finally she goes, so facials are your cover, huh? And I was like, And then I took a breath, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell my friend, like, this, this didn't work, and this was," kinda like, 'cause she's just a big goofball.
Yeah.
Um, but I was able to sigh relief because she'd never experienced anything like that before, and then here I am, and what I say is, one session or 2 or 3 or 20, it will go as far as your readiness. And most people
Mhm.
don't know how ready they are because mentally they're blocked. So the fear-based mind is blocking, thinking if I actually try to heal this, they don't want to look at it again because they think they're going to have to relive it. And
Mhm.
through I'll say my work, I'll call it my work, or through the intuitive healing work, you're reliving it for like a second.
Yeah.
And then it's gone because we started getting into the quantum mechanics of things, the quantum physics. The moment you look at something as the observer, that observation changes as you're looking at it. So you're the observer, the observation changes based on what you think you're seeing. So perception is
Okay.
reality. So that's what we're doing mentally and emotionally. Because what did I ask you in the beginning of your session? I said, show me and show yourself what is your highest energy at minimum feel like. If you're a visual mind like me, then you
Mhm.
get lots of visions, you can see things. So then
Mhm.
I said, what does your energy look like? And
Mhm.
then I said, where is she? Right? So then you could be
Right.
like, she was already inside. I'm like, okay, so you're already connected. And then you realize I'm not disconnected from myself. And then that's when the body's like, oh, she's connected. Let's go. And then things start
Yeah.
stirring and firing and swirling. And that's what you experienced trying to put words to something that's so
Right.
experiential. Right. So,
Right.
mhm,
And it's funny because I always say I'm somewhere in the middle, as I told you. Like, of course, I believe 100% in spirituality, but I've tried some methods and I'm like, ooh, this doesn't feel for me. Immediately when I
mhm,
did it with you, I the body tingles are undeniable, right? And you can't like it's not me for I cannot mentally be like, okay, I have body tingles. It was like not
mhm.
it's not me forcing it. And they were in places that like even a level that I've not experienced because that's always been my
Yeah.
thing. Like when somebody says something or that's I think my intuitive ping is like the body tingles. So when the work you were doing, it was on another level, next level stuff. It was very powerful and very transformational. And I always say there is no quick fix to everything, but I will say I think every time you do something, it can help you slowly dig yourself out of a hole, but this was like one of those, I feel like maybe I was like pushed, like I was
Yeah.
already almost there and it was like, "Here you go. Here's that
Yeah.
nudge." And
Right.
so yeah, it was amazing, and I also wanna ask, so, of course, the reason that I had initially posted that thread was because of the psychic abilities. I think that that's something that we all can tap into. I think we
Mhm.
all have the ability, not everybody wants to. What do you think is the importance or I say benefit of doing so. And what do you need to do before, right? Because of course it's not I think before I'll just backtrack really quickly. I used to want to do that because I wanted to know the outcome of everything. Like, "Ooh, is this person gonna be for me? Like, is he a good fit?" And sometimes you just have to live. You're not allowed to know those things, right? You can't live with this. That's almost living with a sense of wanting control over everything. And I only recently made that thing where like you don't get to know your whole life. And just because you have
Mhm.
psychic abilities doesn't mean that you get to have this like clear path of this is the person you should choose and this is the route you should go, right? So if you
Yeah.
could just touch a little bit
Yeah.
on your take on that.
Okay, so your question is opening psychic abilities, correct? Like if you're
Yes.
opening that, then what is the outcome?
Yeah,
Like,
benefit, outcome,
okay,
the
benefit.
pros,
Okay.
I guess, of
Yeah.
doing so.
Okay. Well, we know that everyone's on their own personal journey. We know
Mhm.
that. I do believe some of us are called more than others. And I don't know if we might all be empaths deep down on some spiritual plane.
Mhm.
Um, So I'm trying to mentally process this when it's such like a spiritual concept, right? Um,
Mhm.
I think we all have the ability to wake the body up.
Mhm.
And where we are conditioned for generations, like take this pill, do this exercise, right? Well, I mean, podcasts, of course, there's so much positive transformational guidance out there, but I also think there's a lot of sales commercialization where it pulls us from our body and then we don't realize that the answers are inside of us. So for me, in my history, which I know we haven't gotten into all of it other than little, little pieces, um, going through severe trauma, severe abuse, what happens is going back to what we just said about we end up holding all of that from other people, even as an empath. I do believe the healers know we're healers, but then we're mad at ourselves like, well, why can't I heal this person? Why can't I heal myself? So we're internalizing all of their stuff as our own, and then we can't separate theirs from ours
Yeah.
until you're ready for, we can call it your enlightenment, your awakening, your rebirth. There's so many names, right? Your ascension, your elevation. That's what I was like
Yeah.
first met. I was like, there's all these labels, but the labels don't matter because the labels, all they're going to do is turn into your individual experience. So I might wake somebody up, quote, so to say, and they might be able to see auras, or they might be able to see, like past lives. And so I think we all have our different gifts in that aspect, to use the word gifts. As far as benefit, I think it goes from dark to light more than anything, and
Mhm.
constriction to expansion. So I think whatever and whomever feels when they go inward, or they can't even go inward because there's just so much stuff around, they can't go inward because their focus is just outside of them. That
Mhm.
once you do and you are able to go inward, that's, or I think I called it magic, right? Like that's where the magic happens, but that's where you realize that the body is not tormenting you, and the body's not trying to bring you down. It's trying to get your attention so you can set it free because it doesn't have the tools, which is different than saying like the body's a self healer. The body's a
Yeah.
self healer when it's activated. So when it's holding any sort of trauma or abuse or negativity, as your podcast said, your other podcast, that's all it knows until it's shown, as I call, like a higher perspective. And you, your spirit, your energy, you are that higher perspective. So
Mhm.
I don't even know if I answered your question yet. Um, Going inward and then realizing whatever the body has to show me, if I'm truly not afraid of it, because one, I already survived it, right? I'm already
Right.
here. I'm a survivor of whatever past experiences happened to me. So if my body is triggered or reliving it, it's triggered because it's trying to bring it to the surface. It's trying to bring it into my face. Like, look at me. I need help. But the fear-based mind comes in and says, no, I'm afraid of this. I can't look. And now this is going again back to our first session where we mentioned fear can't see beyond itself.
Mhm.
Sadness can't see beyond itself. So once you come in from the higher perspective, that's your answer. It's setting yourself free, and everybody's going to have like a different liberation experience.
Right.
There,
It's gonna look
I'll say
different for
that.
everybody. Yeah, that's super
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm also curious because I often wonder when people come and they need an extensive, or maybe they go to you for different sessions, right? Like, is it just dependent on what exactly their needs are? Because I mean, I definitely could. I mean, I benefited from one session. I feel like I made it instrumental. Does that mean that other sessions are
Yeah.
not necessary? No, but right now, I really feel like for me, it's wanting to open up. I almost feel like I was blocking myself from my own intuitive gifts because I was afraid
Mhm.
of. I've always deferred to everybody else's expertise, and now it's like, okay, but
Mhm.
what about you? Now you have to trust yourself. So it was really
Yeah.
trusting myself, and you helped give me that ability and open up that ability to do so. And what that develops over time, of course, it's going to take time, right? It's not like all of a sudden I'm just
Mhm.
going to come out and be like all knowing. But
Mhm.
I'm curious what extensive, more extensive sessions would look like, and when
Okay.
someone would benefit from that.
See, now we're really getting into it because you know how I say you're trying to put words to experience.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
So just, I mean, I it would be hard to describe all the things that I see or I've seen,
yeah.
but I'm pretty sure I have seen the formation of somebody's spirit turned into body. I have astrally
Ah,
traveled. I've seen what feels like angel realms and other people's like clients of mine because I tap into them, right? And then I
mhm,
connect to what I feel is their highest energy. And then I channel that through to them. So
Mhm.
I don't have any blockages on you or anybody else. So it makes it easy to be a channel when you've cleared all of your blockages, okay, all your negativity, your fear, your unworthiness, your despair. Um, so for me, I'm very much a seer and an experiencer. But
Yeah.
I've seen my own past lives, and this is without having Akashic Records readings. Or, do you know what I mean? It just kind of comes
Yeah.
to me. So, gosh, over this year, I mean, I think I may have told you it's like over 30,000 healing sessions performed, and that's a lot of sessions. And then each
Yeah.
pretty much, I mean, maybe other than five have been, transformational energetic journeys because some people they say they're ready and then they're not. So you go to help them
Oh.
open and then the walls go up and it's not pretty. So when you do this work, you just have to decide, I'm ready for the shift. I'm ready to feel different and act different. And what that means, the shift is really releasing what doesn't belong to you, which
Mhm.
we somehow, somewhere, I really do believe this is empathic, angelic healing stuff. Like some of us are just earth angels and we're here and we want to heal and help everybody. Another term is people pleaser, but
Yeah.
that benefits anybody, right? Because we resent doing something we don't want to do. And then the person we're pleasing is never satisfied because they're not at a positive frequency. So anything
Mhm.
then you just keep feeding the I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough because no matter what I
Yeah.
do, I still feel worthless and not good enough because I can't please this person or these people. That makes sense to you.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
And the people that come to you when they say they're ready, so is it a
Mhm.
subconscious thing that makes them? Because if they say they're ready, because
Mhm.
I might, that may be me too. I was
Yeah.
ready, but there's like
Yeah.
something subconsciously that people keep telling me, "Oh, you have those gifts. You have those gifts." I'm like, "What gift?"
You're like, "What gift?" Yeah, yeah. Well, if someone's telling you that and you're pulling from past experience, how much of that is going to be positivity for you? If you look back, is it gonna be like, "Oh, I did this wonderful thing and this thing and this thing," or is it gonna be like, "Oh, look at all these things that I did wrong?" And I
Right.
think you know what I mean? So the past some of us who have had just a struggle. Maybe we've all had struggles, right? Internally, we've all just, been dealing with our inner battles. And so I shouldn't compare and judge one person's journey to the next or an empath to a non-empath because I can't say that.
Mhm.
But for you, if you think about it, if you look back, and that's just asking you personally, which could relate to the collective, when you look back, are you looking back through a negative or a positive lens? Most people are going to look back through a negative lens because that's
Right.
been conditioned in their psyche, in their mindset, in their body. So, I call it the universal lens. So, what I'm looking through and what I'm seeing is it unconditional love? Is it hope? Is it light filled? Is it, again, there's so many words and attributes we can fit in. So, this work, it's hard to explain, but there is a spiritual coach, author, speaker, Matt Kahn. Have you heard of him?
I haven't.
Oh, he's my
Okay.
favorite. He teaches love, and sometimes he's a little bit out there, like, Pleiadian history, stuff like that, but
Okay.
he's
Yeah.
teaching angelic love, and he says that we're all angels on this planet, and we're
Mhm.
all on our journey. And, oh god, it was so many years ago, half a decade or so, I listened to one of his lectures, I watched it, and he said it's not about like you. It's not about your spirit, it's about the body. And he's saying we are the spirit guides to our own body. And it
Mhm.
took me a while to understand that, but once you experience it, everything aligns because then you realize I am already healer. I'm already light. I'm already, God consciousness, universal energy, whatever you call it, you're already all of that. And once that realization hits, it's kind of like, my daughter loves Tangled and Rapunzel. So it's like, I'm the lost princess, So it's like all of a sudden that realization hits and then things just start to happen, right? Like universe starts orchestrating around you. Your body's like, oh, I
Yeah.
can finally release this because as I call it, he or she plugged in. So it's like you're literally
Yeah.
plugging yourself back in. So when you do that, I mean, that really is, see, I have no words for it because
Right.
everyone will have their own experience. And some people might have one session or 5 sessions where we have to clear generational trauma, right?
Right.
Some people might need just one where they just wake in their body and I never see them or hear from them again. It's like they just needed one. Other people are with me 17 years. So it really
Mhm.
depends on the person. Now I'm coming back to what I started to say with Matt Kahn, and he goes, don't worry about what level you're on. All you need to know is there's always another level. And that
Oh.
blows my mind because I have done some wild ascension work with some clients, and we're like, "Well, what's gonna happen next time?" Because it feels like you're soaring through space, or you literally are, like the planet. You're watching the planet form from millions of years ago, or, you're exploring the sun. So this is like kind of out there. But it's to say that there's no cap in the imagination, and then
Mhm.
whatever you're meant to experience, you will experience because that's your design.
Right, right.
So it's like, how do you quantify
Yeah.
and try to at the same time be like, oh, this works and this is transformational, but yet everyone's going to see and feel something differently. But as you know, I do use the body, right? I am trained very well in Reiki, and then I still do my own thing because when I was taught you can't guide with Reiki, you have to let the client or whomever guide you. It's like, that
Mhm.
doesn't work for me because I have too many downloads for that client, and I would be doing
Right.
service if I'm not sharing it. So that's where the guiding comes in. It comes from a very high place. And this is answering your question probably twice from, the past week, is when you are connected to yourself, all there is highest frequency. There's no past um there's no past trapping intention, okay? Because the
Mhm.
past is the past. And once the past is let go or you detach from it, you're in the present moment. The present only opens up to future. Future is only connected to a higher ascension. I'll just call it place, a higher ascension energy. So that means when you are connected to yourself, you can trust it
Right.
because it's only your higher self feeding you.
I love that. Yeah. And that also explains even just how I felt in the past 24 hours where I am able to trust my thoughts a little bit more without being like, "Oh, did I just am I just thinking more that I know more than I do?" Not having as many of those moments.
Yeah,
Where I'm like, "No, this is
self-doubt, like
it." It comes
self-doubt and insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
these thoughts come more
Mhm,
with calmness and assurance, and I'm like, "No, this is I know this to be true." And so I
uh-huh,
also wanna touch on what you said about the past because I do think for people who are listening, one of the common things is that we tend to experience the same challenges repeatedly in our lives, and I always think that's something that we're needing to learn. And I was just had a conversation with somebody a bit ago. The person that I earlier did a podcast studio tour with, and we were
mhm,
talking about how if something is happening to you, whatever it is, a situation, or maybe you're gravitating towards the same people, it's always something within you that has control over that you're not seeing. Right? And it could be something small, like maybe I think the particular example for this was that the this food service industry always got this particular person's order wrong, and it was because she was kind of rude to those people, and she didn't see the role that she played in
mhm,
that, but that was just a recurring thing over the years, and not to
mm,
divulge that personal information, that's a small
mhm,
example of how
mhm,
we do create our reality, our thoughts create our reality, and we have control, but sometimes people don't see that. So if you're repeating certain patterns,
mhm,
this work can be helpful, right? Because it brings some level of awareness to the role that we're playing in that. Because I think we get frustrated when we're like, why
yeah,
am I encountering the same thing over and over? I'm just cursed. This is the way I'm supposed to live. This just sucks. I'm
mhm,
probably, people love to throw the like, I'm cursed or I'm just
mhm,
not meant to be happy or what have you.
mhm,
And
mhm.
so I feel like this work
Mhm.
could be extremely beneficial for somebody who maybe just doesn't they want to stop that from occurring, but maybe they don't know where to start.
Right, so you're tying into, I will say, victimization mode,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So and codependency because I'm blaming others, right, for whether it's their fault if I'm happy, it's their fault if I'm unhappy. So codependency, you're to
Right.
blame either way, right? Like I'll
Yeah.
appreciate you because I can't appreciate myself. So then that's borderline. Now we're getting to like narcissism as well, but I'm trying to keep it more of like a level
Right.
um
Yeah.
explanation. So victimization, right? So the universe is out to get me. I'm in defense mode. My heart center is closed because I'm always on guard for like the next thing that's going to come and attack me mentally, emotionally, physically.
Yeah.
So victimization mode, self-fulfilling prophecy, because what we think about absolutely expands. And I am a perfect example of this because I have created a very, very successful business. Okay, very successful. And God, I feel like right before I met you, okay, it really has to do with the chapter that was published. Okay, like my chapter, right? So
Oh, in the book that
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
well,
it has to do with that because I didn't realize that I didn't realize the level that I was helping other people heal and that I was still hiding my guilt or shame and fear of judgment of people finding out my story. Okay. So
yeah.
in that aspect, I was helping everyone else move forward, but inside, even spiritually, somehow I probably because I focused so much on others with my healing, my life, my career, I've been able to get away with it so long. But then it started to catch up to me. So I was like, I'm not feeling very good. Like my body's telling me like I'm, the endometriosis flared and all these things. Like it's just telling me like I'm not feeling very well. And what I realized is I was so good at focusing on others and helping them clear but
Mhm.
I was still holding my past. So
Mm.
if I'm still holding my past, then I'm still holding on to victimization mode because these people did these things to me.
Mhm.
So I'm resentful, right? I'm
Yeah.
hurting, I'm sad, I'm depressed because this happened. Um, I about 15 years ago, when I started it's just intense to say. I mean, it's just so intense. The domestic violence, sexual assault, sexual abuse counseling. Okay, and then I went into a session defensive. And of course, the counselor is going to side with me because I am so traumatized that when we used to have a microwave, we haven't had one in like over 10 years, okay? But we used to have a microwave at our old condo. And I would be in such a place, like not present, that I would close the microwave and I wouldn't hit the button to turn it off, or I wouldn't close the microwave. And I would be like, well, my counselor said that it's okay that I'm not because I'm traumatized. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there's a point where you can tell yourself, I don't have to be victim any longer. And then that's where empowerment comes in. And then empowerment has its own conversation because it's filled with, confidence. And I call it like, what do I say? Passion, desire, fire, like excitement, right? This is where my birthing center is as a woman. It's my power center as a man, where I feel empowered, which is the complete opposite of victimization, others blaming or self-blaming. So
Yeah.
okay, get me back on track. Let's see
Yeah.
here. Where are we? Yeah,
But
my head
no,
goes like 1,000 different places, like with every thought. Um,
no, that's exactly how my mind operates too, but that
yeah,
does answer
see,
the question because
so
for me, I always
mhm,
all of these things were so new to me, as I had mentioned to you 3 years ago, but it's so exciting to me because I wanna bring that to the forefront for people who feel stuck, who feel like they're meant for more, and there are so many people who I hear that where they're like, "I feel like I'm meant to do this, but I don't know what's happening, no progress," myself included, right? Because, of course, I've
got
made
it.
I as far as how I feel inside, it's changed a lot and who I'm gravitating towards and the people in my life, but there is still a fundamental part of me that feels like I'm meant to do more, that I'm meant to fulfill a different purpose in my life.
Yep.
And I keep saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, but you almost feed into the narrative like, oh, it's really hard to do that. Like who everyone wants to do what they enjoy in life." But that's a thought pattern that you can break, right?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
I feel like the reason I bring this up is for anybody who feels stuck. It doesn't matter
Mhm.
what position. It could be something small like I just am sad every day and I want to not be sad
Mhm.
every day because sometimes you don't
Mhm.
even know where it's coming from. You
Right,
don't have a conscious
right.
awareness, and I think
True.
that it's important for people to know the different modalities that are out there to just
Sure.
give it a try. Because what do you have to
Mhm.
lose when you feel like that?
Right, right. So you just opened up another thing here. Okay, it was there. I'm like, where did it go? Okay. Okay, just say like summarize what you just said for me so I could share with
Yeah.
someone too.
So, basically, I want people who are feeling stuck, who are feeling unhappy and unfulfilled
Mhm.
to have some awareness of the different self-improvement modalities, such
Okay.
as the ones that you offer, that are out
Yeah.
there because they're not taught to us conventionally, right? We're told, "Go to
Yeah.
therapy,
Yeah.
don't feel anx," and we're not told to don't not feel anxiety, but what are we given? We're given pills. I was given so many anxiety pills that really just made me sleepy, and that just doesn't
Yeah.
help because at the end of the day, it's alignment, and how do you become aligned? It's really understanding why you're not feeling fulfilled. Why is it that you're
Yeah.
feeling sad? Why are you depressed? Why are you anxious? And
Mhm.
so coming to you, how can that help somebody to at least start to unravel what is causing those feelings? Those I'll call them negative feelings because
Yeah.
they're really feelings of
Yeah.
discomfort.
Yeah, it's like the impairment, stagnation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I told you I was like reading Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer at 8 years old. I learned
Yeah.
transcendental meditation at 8 years old. Eight was
Yeah.
just a very impactful year for me. And then right around the same time, within, like 6 months a year, I was diagnosed with severe depression and ADHD. So I was put on like 3 different medications at 9.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I can only imagine what that did, like, to my system, right? Numbing
Mhm.
me. So when I did turn 29, and I told you about the intensive counseling I had to go through for 4 years, I cried for, like, 4 years straight because I didn't cry as a little girl because it was all, like pushed inside, like, I have to
Yeah.
be tough and I have to be sarcastic, and one of the earlier jobs I worked at, I was called a smartass in front of a meeting because, like, that was my defense mode because I couldn't let anybody in, right? So I had to be
Mhm.
rude and snippy, and that was my defense mode, but also, being medicated, I wouldn't even know what, like, my true self would act like or behave like or sound like, right? So, um okay, now I got it. So with feeling powerless and stuck, I'm not going to go into the benefit right now of the work, like the inner work, doing your work,
Right.
as I call it. I'm actually going to go with a little action step. Ask yourself, whose is this? And if
Mhm.
you say it's mine, it's not true. Because if you are here on this podcast or whoever gets to listen to you, find your platform, okay? You are an empath and you are holding other people's stuff. And
Mhm.
there is always going to be a defining person or moment that will pop into your head. It might start to constrict the chest area because we trap stuff. And I'm going like this because it will go all the way down the spine. For some people, they trap it in their feet and their ankles, their legs. But traditional textbook Reiki just teaches you there's 7 main energy centers, and when you are doing the work, I go to the lowest every time for anybody who's willing to go there because it is going to be
Mhm.
the deepest unworthiness you've ever felt, the deepest despair, like the sadness, the depression, the isolation, the like, I'm scared, right? I'm terrified. It just like, I say it's usually resignation, where it's like, I'm just done. I quit, right? I want
Yeah.
to be out of here. Like, we've all been there, like that desolation place of like, just end my life, I'm done. But so really deep, dark stuff. So the goal is to get to the bottom of that. Okay. So with that said, there is going to be at least one person who, if you were mistreated, if you were neglected, if you were abused, okay, in any way, we can pull from my experiences, which there are many and they are dark. Okay. But, um, God, I'm just gonna say it because it's actually supporting my chapter. So you're really helping me here, okay?
Yeah.
Um, being sexually abused as a little girl, that is taking away my power
Mhm.
because I'm being overpowered, which means I don't have any of my own power. So what I'm explaining here is that that person who needs to overpower me is because, like, physically, mentally, emotionally, right? They feel powerless.
Mhm.
So that person needed an easy target to feel fake, but inauthentic, but power, no matter how inauthentic or, toxic or unhealthy or abusive it was. So false sense of power, but it takes mine away. Right?
Right.
So I can name said person, I can name many persons. So what I'm saying is, for me it's easy because I have many moments I can pull from experience, but if it's not so traumatic for somebody, there's still going to be a moment where they were made to feel small or they felt excluded, right? Or I didn't fit
Mhm.
in. I wish I didn't say that. My hubby calls them cringeworthy moments, okay? For if it's more like I did this versus something
Yeah.
did not happen to me. So when you have that moment, you go back and you say, what was given to me? And what that means,
Yeah.
how did this make me feel?
Right.
So let's use you. Just use anything, could be recent, it could pull younger, but when your body's ready to heal something, it will show you. You'll have, you might have a glimpse, or you might have that person's name in your head. You might see them, you might feel that moment. So the body's already intuitive on its own. It just needs permission to show you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go through it. Just
Yeah.
anything you can think of where, let's see what I'm feeling from you right now.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with heartbreak and letdown.
Oh, heartbreak and letdown. You mean the first time?
Anything, yeah, and it just you so I say the most, intense one, the one that's just emotionally charged, it'll come up first to be like, "Oh, yeah, well, this happened at this time," right? And for some
Yeah.
people, it's a teacher mistreated them, other people, something a neighbor, it could be anything and anyone in
Mm.
the world at any age.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
will share this one because this is one where if people who have followed me or know my story are familiar with, and
Okay.
maybe if someone's not, this is one of the moments where I had known that my dad had done something, and what that is, I won't say, but he had
Okay.
done something not to myself, to somebody else.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I was there the moment it happened, and I wanted him so years later, when he and my mom were divorcing, I was supportive of the divorce. I still wanted him in my life, but I wanted him to admit what he had done so that I could forgive him. And instead, he said, "No, that person was lying. They made it up. That never happened." And in that moment, I was trying to pull
Mhm.
honesty from somebody who was unwilling. Was it shame? I don't know. Maybe he blocked it from his own because he wasn't proud of himself either. I don't know the reason, and I don't
Mhm.
get to. All I know is
Mhm.
that what I wanted was clarity and honesty from somebody who was not going to give me that. And that ended up replaying in every relationship I had with a man for the last couple of years, in that time where I could see the good in these people, and I wanted to hang on to that because I'm like, "I can see who you are and who you were meant to be, but I just need you to tell me that you're doing this wrong so that I can help you." And I
Yeah.
never got to help them. All it did was drain me, and
Right.
then I victimized myself, so I was just gonna go full circle. I was like, "How could they treat me that
Mhm.
way? How could they treat me that way?" And I'm finally letting that go and seeing that they are doing the best they can with what they have, but it is not my job to see how help them see their way through. Not when they're not
Okay.
ready. So that was the
Okay.
moment, heartbreak and letdown, because that was a huge letdown to me, and even if I were to allow him back into my life, I know that's gonna come with nothing. It's not gonna come with any clarity, it's gonna replay, and that goes for all the men too. If I were to allow them back in my life, unless you
Mhm.
do some serious inner work, what's gonna happen? I
Yeah, they
mean,
represent past energy and past experience, right?
yeah,
And so remember how you were saying people keep going through the same experience? Think of
yeah,
it like how we're revolutioning, like, the revolution around the sun.
yeah,
So I think it's the same thing, and maybe our mind or body, I'm not sure exactly, but I think that past experiences cycle and they kind of hit a like a peak within us.
mhm,
How we just like, oh my God, I'm going through this again. And I went through this again. And I went through this again. And it's because it's trying to get free, but it
right,
can't because if we, whether it was fear induced or heartbreak or like, I mean, deep, deep letdown. I mean, it really does feel like heartbreak. Okay. What you went through.
mhm,
And it just the heartbreak comes up and then it just re-triggers, and if it doesn't get this is spiritual, but if it doesn't get its ascension point, if it doesn't get to go to the next level of just release and clarity and freedom, then it's just going to revolve again. Because what
yep,
happens, and to keep using the spine and the chakras and the energy centers as their, again, textbook definition called, but they work for me. They're a very nice visual for me to use.
yeah,
We repress it down all the way down. And then when we get triggered because something reminds us of something we went through, and the body's like, oh, I remember this. This is how I respond to this. And then it comes up again, but it's coming up again because it's facing you because it wants healing.
right,
Okay.
yeah,
So with let's take this full circle even more for you. Imagine what he went through and where you were like, just admit it. I want you to imagine you were a mirror in front of him.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
You're just everybody's mirror. And when we realize I am a light-filled soul or spirit or energy or intender, whatever we are, if we realize that's their experience, that they're either doesn't matter if it's intentional or unintentional because they're still giving it to us, right?
Right.
Whether not giving you what you need or giving you what you don't need, both are not going to aid in your uplift, okay, in your
Mhm.
positivity, in your transformation. So just tell yourself, any past experiences I've been through, I was their mirror. They did it to themselves. And that's
Yeah.
going to suck because now we have to own and accept they are choosing, right? So it is a choice. They are choosing this path, whether they're aware or unaware of it. So
Yeah.
whether subconscious is consuming and controlling their thoughts, feeling, emotions, actions, behaviors, I am not responsible for that anymore. So I can release the weight of his stagnation, of his
Right.
resistance, of his denial, of his inability to face himself in the mirror.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
all it was. He was denying himself because
Yes.
acceptance would have meant what? Well, then I can start to work to figure out where this comes from and then
Mhm.
I can change,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
someone in that experience is resistant to change because the pain is too much to look at. It's too much to look at. There's so much
Yeah.
wall build up around I cannot look at this wall everywhere.
Right.
So
Right.
now you are coming to terms, like you said, well, I can't let that wall back in because then I'm just going to hit another wall. So you get that. But with the work we did, right? The one work we did, this opens up
Mhm.
and then it stays open. So this meaning heart center for those who aren't, watching the video. So
Audio. Yeah.
this means the heart center and this is a feeling because our brain is connected to imagination. So it's a feeling and an experience. But when you feel it open, it feels like a weight is being removed, but you just
Mhm.
know it's open. So then we're kind of getting out of like, I think this is happening to then that inner knowingness comes out or that higher knowingness. And
Yeah.
then when you're in the knowingness, I mean, then that just provides clarity, confidence, as you said. So in the heart center for you, where it was trapping this, you open that up. So the first step, right? We're going back. We said first step, whose is it? It's
Mhm.
my dad's. Okay.
Mhm.
Second step, what would I give him if I could give him anything that he can't give himself?
Yeah.
What would you give him? I'm going to take you all the way
Yeah.
from trapped to empathic empowerment in just a couple
Yeah.
minutes here. What would I give him if I could give him anything?
I would give him the strength to move through the dark shadows, to face his own shadows. I would give him the strength and resilience to face those and to forgive himself.
What is happening in your body right now?
Oof, release. I feel like, yeah, it's deep. It feels like I'm gonna cry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm crying for you because I'm just a big crybaby for everybody. So I feel
Yeah.
what you're feeling, and it's in your belly.
Mhm.
Okay, which I link the belly to, if we had like a centered place, like if we're meditating or thinking or just being, your belly is your source of self,
Yeah.
your inner peace. And then from your inner peace, then you create your positivity and joy. And nobody showed you how to do that. So right now you are awakening a connection to self at a deeper level
Yeah.
because you're saying, you know what, Dad, I love you. Maybe you can't receive my love, but that's no longer my responsibility for your outcome. I'm no
Right.
longer responsibility for your outcome. And when you say that and you translate that feeling into the body, I'll ask you, how would that feel? So go for it. I am totally putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
mhm,
that feels like my I'll be spiritual, the highest ascension. I feel at peace. I feel
mhm,
like I am able to help others because I have helped myself. I've looked at what
mhm,
was keeping me trapped, and I think that I've always felt a higher calling to help others, but I wasn't fully processing the things
mhm.
that I needed to in order to get there.
Yeah,
And you
because you were holding on to his heartbreak. I
Mhm.
mean, who knows what happened to him? Okay. And
Mhm.
who knows what he trapped inside that then consumed him, because when someone does something, um how can we say this like politely, inappropriately, or you know what I mean, just not
Yeah.
conducive to healthiness, they are being consumed by past behavior. They are reliving their past. It's not
Right.
them presently, it's past controlling, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you are now choosing to release all that happened to him, whether you're aware of it or not, meaning you don't know everything, but you feel it. You feel it inside. Things happened. And then what he did was reliving what he lived at some moment. And then, so this is where you're going to say, Dad, I will no longer carry your past energy out loud.
Oh, Dad, I will no longer carry your past energy.
I release all responsibility over your healing outcome.
I release all responsibility over your healing outcome.
And now just feel in your belly. And now in the center of your chest, focus and just tell the heart center, I'm here. I'm ready for you to fully open and breathe. And then let your podcast listeners know how you're feeling.
It's funny because there's almost a bit of nervousness because there's a vulnerability in it, right? This is a
Yeah,
very vulnerable moment,
big time.
but
Yeah, I totally put you on the spot.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. But it's great because I want people to feel what I have felt as far as like I'm not perfect you don't have to be perfect in order to help other people. I always thought I had to
Mhm.
have it all figured out, and that's not what you need to have help other people. What you need is resonance, and it's always whose path resonates with mine and how can they help me get to where they're at, right? And that's not to say
Mhm.
not above, but just the
Mhm.
strides that I've made in the years of progress, I can also bring listeners, the people that resonate with my story to that
Mhm.
level.
Mhm.
And it it's a very vulnerable moment, but I do feel I feel joy, I feel happy, and I don't have that anger that I had, even not even towards my dad, but when I think about the people that have recently hurt me, I don't that
Mhm.
anger just almost completely dissipated. There's a little bit of
Yeah.
course, there's always a little bit of like, "Ooh," but the sting isn't so big, and that's what I tell people, that's life comes with the feelings, and you learn to ride those feelings and understand that they don't need to consume you,
Mhm.
and so I really wanna bring this back to the fact that I've always struggled with wanting to live and wanting to find my purpose, and now as I put all my energy into finding other healers, finding different modalities, I have that even in the moments where I have those thoughts, my bounce back is, like, way quicker than before, and
Yeah.
so it's really just
Mhm.
strengthening that, and I want anybody who feels helpless to know that you you can do this. I felt helpless. I felt that there was no purpose, and
Mhm.
even now, sometimes I want life to happen quickly,
Yeah.
but the only way we can see forward is if you make even the smallest step, and you can tell yourself, "I haven't made any progress because I like to do that to myself sometimes. I don't like to, but it's a habitual thing, and then I snap out of
Mhm.
it, and I'm like, "Stop."
Mhm.
Where you are, at least you have the will to live. So for anybody who's listening, please know there are healers like Melissa out there. Anything that you feel called to, there is no right or wrong method, is what I'm going to
Yeah.
say. And
That's
just because
mhm.
you go somewhere and you didn't get exactly what you wanted out of it, which has happened to me, it doesn't mean it didn't work. Sometimes our ego
Mhm.
thinks that there's going to be a quick fix, right? Our ego likes to think, if I go to
Yeah.
this person's going to fix me and I'm going to come out and I'm going to be a different person. That's not always it. But you'll
Mhm.
get what you need to out of it. And bit by bit, you will crawl out. And I promise you you'll come out of it. And it doesn't mean you
Mhm.
don't experience hardships. I'm sure you can attest to that. Life
Yeah.
comes with its,
Big time.
but you're just more equipped to handle them. And
Mhm.
you can handle them in a different way, and you start to see us all as humans who are just trying to find our way, and sometimes people are gonna misunderstand you, and sometimes they're not going to think for me, I'm like, I struggle with authenticity. I don't want people to think I'm inauthentic, but some people are gonna see that, and they're gonna think that anyway, and so it's just like,
Right.
well, then
Right.
and I'm sure I felt that way
Mhm.
about some people, then you just don't minimize your involvement and just focus on what your mission in life is, right? And it doesn't have to be a huge, maybe it's not a healer. Maybe your mission is to just enjoy life and have a job that you can clock out of and then do whatever you need to do the rest of the day. And that's fine too.
Mhm.
There's no right or wrong. So, if you have any closing thoughts, Melissa, I would love for you to share them. And I just want to thank you for the amazing work. I told you, in just that session, I swear to you, I'm like, I woke up this morning and even last night after a session in the morning that same day, I just, I feel so good. I know that life is not always this like state where you're just feeling this, but the pressure, whatever weight was carrying, I feel like it's slowly lifted and I'm starting to see why I couldn't let people go and that knowing that I can still love them wholeheartedly and let them go.
Yes. Yeah. So, one, I could listen to you speak forever. I love the way I told you that I'm like, I just love when you like clarify and you just explain things so well and
Oh,
you just
thank
you have a
you.
way. And so
Thank
it's just
you.
lovely. I love it. Um, what that little exercise did, okay, with these, what did we say? I guess we put it into steps, right? So step one, whose is this? Step
Uh-huh.
two, what did they leave me with?
Okay.
And then we're still acknowledging, well, if they left me with that, if this experience didn't happen, I wouldn't have these emotions, right? So
Right.
those emotions belong to that experience.
Mhm.
And with whoever that person was, if they didn't do what they did, either, again, like either giving me what I didn't need or um now I'm tongue tied, giving me what I didn't deserve, right? Or not giving me what I did deserve. Either way,
Right.
that's going to create feelings of that experience, that person or myself. So what we say is, what was I left with? And then you can even say, to make it simpler, what do I want to do with it? Because I have free choice, free will once I look at it, because fear can only control me when I won't look at it, because it's the fear of the unknown. Once I look at it, the fear is gone. Okay.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
step three is doing what you did, like acknowledging I'm not going to carry this anymore. And for some of us, like I'll use the word ascended healers, there's the energetic empathic shift where I'm going to say, before I release this, what am I going to give this person that they can't give themselves?
Mm.
And you said what? Strength to, right? Like strength to look at yourself and, heal. Those weren't your exact words, but so you would give your dad strength if you could. Now, what that process did is it brought back your empathic empowerment, because you're going
Mhm.
to feel awful if you're feeling disempowered, because empowerment comes from a very high place like love and peace and kindness and positivity. So when you're at your empowerment phase, it's going to make you feel uplifted. So you
Right.
just brought back your power, which is also what you wanted to discuss either in another episode or whatever you're planning. So empowerment, you just opened it back up, which is also the depression stuck space. So
Mhm.
now we just took 0 to 10 of feeling alone, isolated, despair, stuck. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, the stuck is a big word. I hear that a lot, whether it's for skin healing or emotional healing. Like, I'm stuck, I'm stuck. Well, that's because you're looking at stuck energy.
Yeah.
So what's
Yeah.
beyond the stuck energy? And you just showed yourself what's beyond the stuck energy.
Right.
Okay. And
That's
that's really yourself. You're connecting back to yourself, who's always been there. And for some people, we might do a visual or, a meditation or a guidance. And it's like, oh, well, I have to go off the planet to find myself. I'm like, wait, well, let's go off the planet then. So either
yeah.
way, but think of it, it's just in the mind, right? And you can bring the mind into the body. And then the whole goal is to make it feel like no matter what's going on inside the body, once you show up, there's no more negativity.
Right.
That's the immediacy of the shift.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for putting that together so beautifully. I'm super excited that you agreed to come on and that we found each other
Yeah,
of all the
right? I
people.
feel like
So
I've known you for, like, I don't know, lifetimes.
I know.
That's nifty. So
Well,
cool.
yeah, I will link your information in the show notes if you want to also just mention. Oh, you
Mhm.
mentioned that your social media is not a big usage of yours, but if you want
Yeah,
to,
no,
it's
I
your
was so
Instagram
no,
handle
it's
or
still
yeah,
yeah, it needs to just kinda have its own rebirth, so, but yeah,
yeah.
social media is just, Enlightened Skincare Clinic, or I believe it's, like, Enlightened Skin and Energy Healing, so just kind of yeah, just pop those in,
Okay. Awesome.
but,
And yeah, again, I will link that in the show notes. Thank you again so much for being
cool.
here. And thank you to
Okay.
everyone who is listening. I hope you have a wonderful week and I will see you guys next Thursday.